I have some questions, and I'm going to answer some of these questions, and then I'm going to go through the stuff we did earlier was more basic, but I'm going to answer some of these questions now. And some of them, if I don't answer your question, it's either because I don't know the answer, which is often the case, and I'm not going to pretend I know the answer, which is usually the case. Or it's because I'm going to answer it as part of my presentation, or because it's too complicated and I don't have time to do it, but I'll be happy to do it afterwards. So if I don't get to your question now, I'm not blowing it off, it's just that it's not going to fit in with what I'm trying to get done in this limited time. What happens if a company cannot pay post-Chapter 11 payments? How can they continue to function? The answer is they cannot. If a company let's talk about Palco. Just hypothetically, I'll use this example. Palco does not have to make its interest payments on the notes. Even so, it can't generate enough money from the operation of its business to pay its vendors, to pay its employees, to pay its taxes, to pay its professionals, the lawyers and all the bankruptcy crowd. It goes out of business. That's called administratively insolvent. If a company is not able to operate in Chapter 11 and pay its expenses on a going forward basis, it's administratively insolvent and it's shut down. I don't have any indication that that's happening, but I wanted to answer that question. A related question, and again, I'm a bankruptcy lawyer. I'm a bankruptcy expert, but I'm not an expert in Palco. I'm not an expert in Scopac. I'm learning more and more, but I'm not an expert. Where do Palco current employees stand? Shaky ground? Explain. You will be paid for all your work post-bankruptcy. In the post-bankruptcy period, you do not have a risk that you will be not paid for any. If you go to work this week, you're going to pay this week's salary, and your benefits will be paid. As I just said, they're required to do that. If they don't do that, they'll be shut down immediately. And nobody wants to see the company shut down, no matter what you've heard. Nobody, not the note holders, not the unsecured creditors committee, not the environmentalist movement that I spoke with, no one wants to see the company shut down. If they can't do payments on a going forward basis and pay their post-bankruptcy filing expenses, then it's not a viable company and it should be shut down. In my opinion, as a bankruptcy expert, I think your current employees are in better shape after the filing than before the filing. Because before the filing, you had a company which really was in financial difficulty. It couldn't make its payments. Bankruptcy gives the company an opportunity to reorganize and get rid of the overhang of debt, which has been crushing the company. You get rid of the overhang of debt, as we talked about before. Without that debt, the company's a viable company. Makes money, pays everybody it owes, and sends money to shareholders. So I think bankruptcy, there's an opportunity in the bankruptcy for it to be better for everybody, including current employees. But there's certainly no guarantee. This is real life, not a reality show, and there's no guarantee. Do the largest creditors get paid first? No, I'm going to talk about payments and creditors. I'm going to talk about payments and how that works. How soon could land be sold off? How soon could land be transferred to creditors? Those are two different questions. If Palco wants to sell land, and that's a non-ordinary transaction, it could do it tomorrow, but it has to get bankruptcy court approval first. So it couldn't do it tomorrow because it has to ask the court. When it asks the court, creditors get a chance to comment and give their views as to whether it's a good idea, and the court has to approve it. But the land could be sold through the bankruptcy process. How soon could land be transferred to creditors? That's what I'm going to talk about in part 2. How long is the company under the protection of Chapter 11? I'm going to talk about that in part 2. And if I don't, remind me. Although you can't remind me, but think it really loud and maybe it'll come to me. If Palco paid our severance through January 31st, are they responsible for the remainder of the severance package? They're responsible for whatever they promised you. And if they promise to pay you severance, That's a debt that they owe that's just as valid as any other debt that the company owes. But to the extent it's a pre-bankruptcy debt, it's like everybody else. You're going to have to wait until the thing is over. But they are absolutely responsible for whatever they promised you. Why would some local vendors ask to keep it in the Texas court? You got me. I understand that some 60 local vendors and creditors have filed papers saying they agree with Palco and that the case should stay in Texas. I know that Palco didn't offer them any money to sign that paper, or promise them that they wouldn't object to their claim, or offer them anything else, because that's a crime. It's a federal crime to make a promise or a payment to anybody to get them to do something or not do something in a bankruptcy case. So I know they didn't make them any promises or make them any payments. And to be honest with you, I don't have a clue. I can't answer that question. They may feel, some people, and I understand it's a widespread feeling, some people may feel that the California environment, the environmental movement and the California state regulators are the reason that the companies are the cause of the company's troubles, and their best bet to save the company is to get it as far away from those people as possible. It's conceivable that somebody thinks that and thinks that therefore it's better to have a Texas judge decide than a California judge. And maybe that's why somebody signed that piece of paper. But if I was owed money by Palco, I would want the opportunity to go to a California court and explain why, rather than have to go to Texas. But that's quite a question. They're asking me to read somebody's mind. I can't do that.